pop stars. Welcome to this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us. This week's episode is brought to you by FAFO and Associates. They're the universal firm all about balancing the scales of justice and life. Presently headed up by Jack Smith and the eternal and most famous partner of them all, Karma. If you know, you know. For more information on how we can help you balance the scales, check out FAFL.karma. I have one. I say they do the Supreme Court next. That's just my opinion. Just throwing that one out there. But I thought that was really a good ad for this week because this week we get swept up into the international world of politics and intrigue with The Diplomat, currently streaming on Netflix, starring Kerri Russell and Rufus Sewell. Russell stars as Kate Wyler, a career diplomat who is unexpectedly reassigned to the highest profile gig in the diplomatic world as the newest ambassador to the UK. An assignment that's supposed to be a posh cakewalk full of hand holding and photo ops until she is thrown headfirst into an international diplomatic crisis, which has the potential to land the world at war, all while her personal life and marriage are not faring much better. So, Tammy, what did you think of The Diplomat? Was it a savvy political thriller, or did it have the finesse of a failed Russian coup?
It was really, really good. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. It kept me interested. I love the realism of the different relationships that were on the show. Like even their marriage between Kate and her husband was very real. It was very realistic. Like I can truly believe there are some marriages like that where you may love each other, but you just know like it's not working. But you're still trying to figure out how to cut ties with each other in a way. So I really, really did enjoy it. It gave a new perspective. And I like the fact of it didn't hide how the UK feels about us in a way. Like it didn't romanticize the relationship between the United Kingdom and the United States.
Yeah, especially post Brexit. And say what you want about the 2016 election and the outcome. We don't have to get into all of that as far as the specifics. But I'll say there were some real world consequences. And the one thing I think one positive you can take from the clusterfuck that we're still dealing with the fallout is that I think it was eye-opening in the fact that we could take the blinders off and saying that we've come so far. On one hand, yes, we as a world, as a nation, as people, minorities have come so far. But on the other hand, you see that a lot of the stuff that we thought was over, the communism, the fascism, you see that that's still there. So it's like it brought it out from the dark into the light. And it's scary and it's dangerous, but I would, for one, would rather know what I'm facing head on, if that makes sense.
You mean for the UK or?
Just politically speaking, for all of it, and so yeah. But I think that I did like the way it showcased the relationship between the UK and the United States, and in a sense how you still get that, hey, there for some there is some animosity still there about winning the war, a war that was fought almost 300 years ago, so but yeah, I also love the I think it hit a really good sweet spot. It wasn't this over the top action thriller, but it did have it hit all the spots. It had political intrigue. It had the thriller aspects. It had even some comedy because life just naturally has its comedic moments, And I love Rufus Sewell. He's got that sexy zaddy energy, and he's aging like a fine Clooney wine, and he's one of my favorite actors because no matter what role he's in, whether he's playing a good guy, a bad guy, or somewhere in between, you totally believe it. And so I love the character of Hal Weiler, and of course, I've been a Kerri Russell stan since Felicity. And even though I didn't watch The Americans religiously, that was too much of a slow burn for me. It was a great TV show, and she was great in it. But this one, it hit the spot, and it kept pace really, really well. And the chemistry between those two was amazing. Like you said, you believed that couple, you believed where they were. You could even see without flashbacks, just from conversations, you could see how they got to where they are now. And you hit the head on the nail, I think, or the nail on the head when you said you can see how they love each other, but they just can't be together. And it's not as easy. Like they were the epitome of it's complicated, you know? Um, it's like she loves him, but she doesn't trust him enough to not be him and fuck up. And she got it just you could tell it got to the point where she got tired of cleaning up his messes. And the more the world changed, the bigger his messes got because he was the hot shot ambassador. And she was all ready to take this post in Afghanistan as the newest ambassador to Afghanistan, a post that hardly anyone would want, but she really, really wanted it. And she was ready to sit down and do the work. So I just loved everything that was going on between them. And it was like there wasn't a wasted story to me. Like I was interested in pretty much all of the characters, and the A story, the B story, the C story is like it all tied in so perfectly well together. So it's a really well done TV show. Um, what did you think about her and Secretary Austin?
They had a great working relationship, and they didn't let their attraction get in the way of doing their job, which I really, really loved. Because a lot of times the romance kind of takes over, and that's all you want to focus on, I guess, to keep people interested on it. But I like the fact that throughout the whole entire series, it was background. It was never at the forefront at any point. Um, and even at points when he wanted to acknowledge it, she did not. And then when she wanted to acknowledge it, he did not. But you always knew, like, at some point they were going to have to come together and speak on this undeniable attraction and feelings that they had. But I like the fact that it never became the forefront of any of the stories that was being told in the series, which is very, like I said, is very, very rare for that. So like I didn't have to like fully focus and be like, oh my God, like they're so cute. Like I didn't have to do that because it was never like in my face. It was just like, oh yeah, oh yeah, there's something there. There's something there. But you never had to like be like, okay, so we're developing. Okay, all right, they're gonna sleep together? Like I never had that moment like, oh my God, they're about to sleep together. Like they're about to fuck. And because it just didn't go with the story, and so the writer didn't mess up the story or the series by putting that in there for shock factor, which I really, really loved. It made me more interested in all the stories and even the background romance because of that.
Yeah, I loved him, and again, I think the actor who played him and Kerri Russell, they had amazing chemistry, and I agree with you. It was the subtle nuance of the relationship. It was the subtlety of the attraction. Like, she sees him, and there's this, you can tell immediately there's this physical attraction, but it develops into something more. Like he like the challenge, the way they challenge each other. Um, and the friendship that they do developed begrudgingly, you know, and just how he begins to open up to her as a friend, as a person, as a colleague, and just the slow burn of it. But like you said, it wasn't just this obvious slow burn. Like it was just this moment of, okay, like it happens sometimes. You meet someone and it's like they're off limits. There's a physical attraction, but it's like, okay, there's nothing going to come of this. But the more you get to know them as a person, that attraction still might be there under the surface, but you don't really do anything to act on it. But as circumstances and situation changes, it's just these little natural accumulation of moments. So I could appreciate that, like the growth and the build of it. The adult of it all, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. The adulting. I loved his sister. Like, I thought that her and Hal had a cute um, relationship, and it kind of goes back to the marriage and where they were. The scene with her and Hal in the pond was very, very interesting. And, it's like he said, we can do everything. He goes, I find you attractive. He goes, but, uh, you know, we can do everything but penetration. And he goes, and she's like, why? He goes, because it won't get up for you. And I was just like, what? Like his honesty, I found it refreshing, but it was kind of weird. And so she was like, huh. And so, of course, his sister, being his sister and who she was, she had to test that out. And she was like, oh, yeah, you're right. Like, okay. So, you know, and it was very, very interesting, but very weird. But I also thought they made a cute couple. So I'm like, so if you and Kate actually get divorced, I'm okay with you hooking up with the sister.
I'm not, but go for that. It's just too much. It's just too much. Like when she wants a divorce, she wants to break complete ties with Hal. She doesn't need him getting together with the foreign secretary's sister. Like just not the case, because then he's going to continuously be around her. And at the end of the day, he really loves her and she loves him. So it's just too close too close in proximity to her. So I would prefer, if Hal's going to go, he needs to go.
Hmm. Yeah, but do you think that would, I mean, I think I can't disagree with that because here's the thing, and I guess we could get into it later. I'll come back to that because there's something I want to talk about with that, but I don't want to jump too far ahead. But I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. Well, did you at least like his sister? Did you like her character?
I'll be honest. I could go either way. She wasn't necessarily, a significant character to me. I liked her personality. I will say that. I did like her personality. Did she add a certain element to the story? No, which goes back to what I said on how I really love this series and I enjoyed it, because even the possible romance of Hal and Cecilia was background. Even as they had their own scenes together, but even the scenes were connected to Kate and was going in the connection to their marriage and was trying to explain that, and how their marriage works, and how they're still able to be together even though they know, or they have the feeling that they shouldn't be together, or they should be divorced by now, but the reason why they're still like connected to each other. I think that those scenes with him and Cecilia explain that more to me than anything else. Like even the scene with them in the pond, it just gave another element to his and Kate's relationship, and than it did to necessarily the chemistry between him and Cecilia. Not to say, like I said, like I wouldn't want him and Cecilia get together, because then he's going to stay in proximity to Kate, and if he's going to go, he needs to fully go. But even with that, I felt like it was more of a connection to his relationship with Kate than it had anything to do with him and Cecilia. Just a deeper thought on those scenes between him and Cecilia.
Yeah, and it was also like his fact finding mission. Like it was because it came at a point where he was like, hey, she told him, you have to stand down. And I get it. Like, it's not that she didn't love him, obviously, but he just took up so much energy and so much oxygen in the room because he was used to being a star. And you could tell that he was this kind of like rock star ambassador who's so used to doing things his way that it often landed him in trouble, which is obviously how he lost his ambassadorship and ended up on the shit list of um, the Secretary of State. And so, and she had been his deputy chief of station, which means his right hand person. And she was the one always cleaning up his messes. But you could tell that they made a good team. And when the marriage was good, you got the feeling that it was really, really good. Because even now, it wasn't horrible, but you saw that it wasn't working. And I really love how they did that. Like I said, it was the epitome. If ever you want, people say it's complicated, but their relationship is the epitome of it's complicated. Like, it's not working, but we love each other. But now I'm getting this post. And part of the reason she was so upset about getting this post is because it put her in a different type of spotlight, because this is like they said, the ambassador to the UK is mostly supposed to be a hand-honed job, a photo op job. It's supposed to be a cakewalk. It's the next step into to catapulting you somewhere big in domestic politics at home. And they put her in this job so she could become the vice president. But if she had kept her original post, they could have gone to Afghanistan. They could have quietly gotten divorced and gone their separate ways. But now here she is in this high profile job, and come to find out, she's on the very short list of one to become the next vice president of the United States. And so that makes it even more tricky trying to extricate herself from this marriage, which, so I just thought they did a great job of showing all the different layers of their complicated relationship. Not to hark back on that. And I did like how in not Sophia, Cecilia, I thought they were cute. And necessarily, would do I see her as his end game? No. But we'll talk about that more in a minute. But so the one relationship I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of was Stuart and Eldra. I didn't love them, but I didn't hate them, but I didn't love them. And Stuart was her chief of station, and Eldra was the CIA chief.
Oh, I love them together. It worked. It worked. They had their personalities match. They knew each other. It was a nice dynamic. It goes back, I will continue to say this, the realism of the different relationships on this show. On the fact of saying she's in a powerful position, he's in a powerful position, and yet like having to keep it on the DL. And when she said the reason why, her reason why they couldn't just publicly come out is because then she'll be known as Stuart's girlfriend. It kind of takes some of her power away, being that she's station chief for the branch of the CIA within the UK. That it kind of it diminishes all that she's achieved and all of her accomplishments. And I was just like, yes, girl, you so right. Because they just change your title sometimes when they see that. It's like they completely wash away your own power, and then make you whatever power the guy that you're with has. But I really liked how connected they were. I understood why she ended up breaking up with him. I definitely get that. I didn't like it. Because you could see he was a little confused, like, are we seriously doing this? And she's just like, yes, we're gonna do this because we're not gonna last that long anyway, so why would I be with you? So, and that goes with her personality. But I really like them together. I think they matched very well.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't love them. I didn't hate them together. I love now individually. I love their characters, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I loved when she read him in on that. Like, look, this is what it is. This is why, and I'm not willing to sacrifice everything I've worked so hard for just to become known as your second or your insignificant other or the woman in your life, you know. So I also get why she broke up with him. I think my problem was more or less with, in some ways, her character, how she came across. Not the confidence, because I'm never ever going to down a strong, confident female character, female lead. She is a badass. But it came across, the cockiness to me came across as too much. Almost a little cartoonish in some ways, where she was not willing to necessarily believe what was going on. And you know, and I understand the trust but verify, but it almost made it seem like she didn't take it seriously enough. And I thought that was a little bit disingenuous for someone in her position, I guess, especially when it's coming from, you know, your new ambassador. And I get that it takes time to build up that trust. Like, how far on a limb am I going to go out for you? And I also understand that it probably came from the fact that, you know, even going to back to Kate's relationship with Stewart, there still had to be this trust built that wasn't fully formed yet. But even by the end of the series, I think they were getting there. But I think it comes from the fact that, hey, like we said before, this normally is a cakewalk position. It normally is just about hand holding, smiling, going to this party, greeting the latest celebrity, you know, hanging out with the royal family events or whatever. But it really wasn't about doing a lot of work, because you're there in the home of our biggest ally and that type of stuff. And, you know, you're there for a couple of years and then you're on to the next big thing, position at home. You may become the next Secretary of State, or get another cabinet position, or become an advisor to the president, or something like that. So it really is the stepping stone to that next big thing, in the party. And Kate was actually one of those who actually wanted to do the job. She was bored by all that surface stuff. Like, she was like, I don't want to go to this event. I don't want to put on this dress. I, you know, just leave me in my pants. I'm not going to wear a skirt. I'm going to be business casual, and it needs to be dark and black. And I love that moment where he tried to put her in something else, and she said, "Now you see why I always wear black." You know, so
Wait.
it.
Are you saying with Idra that? Wait, I was confused by your reasoning. Wait. Is it that because she questioned her intel with the Iran thing? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I get that. Trust but verify. I get that. It's not her questioning the intel. It was just, I think they overplayed the confidence part to where it became cockiness, to where it almost became a little too cartoonish. Like, it was too much. It was like, it almost seemed like it was a game. Like, she didn't take it seriously. So it was that balance. Like I said, I have no problem with her questioning the intel.
What
You
didn't she
always
take
do that,
seriously?
huh?
What didn't she take seriously?
It is just the way the character came across. The
Oh,
cockiness almost came across as like she didn't take it seriously. Like, like, there's a fine line between being confident and being a bit cocky, and being too much so, overly so. And so that's the part that is like, that line was crossed to me almost, as far as her, is everything coming across as like a game to her. And that's the part that I didn't like about the character. It has nothing to do with her questioning the intel. Anybody would do that. It has nothing to do with her being a confident woman and not wanting to be Stewart second. I have no problem with that. It was just that fine line of where the cockiness almost became like she did. It felt like at times she wasn't taking, like it was a game. And that's the part that just kind of irked me about that character.
I will disagree, but okay. I think she was perfect as station chief. Because she's a spy. Like, at the end of the day, that's what the CIA is about. And you could tell, like, she was in the field at one point. She worked her way up to be station chief, and she knew when to be serious, and she knew that kind of haha laughing it off and shrugging your shoulders will get you more information than being serious all the time and trying to throw your power around in a lot of ways. So I just saw it as her being confident on the fact of saying, like, obviously I'm in this position because I've shown myself to be able to handle being in this position. Um, and so, like, even like questioning Kate, like when she was just like, oh, but that's not really what happened. She's just like, well, I need the evidence. Or when they kind of was trying to go with Russia, and she's just like, no intel is saying that it is Russia. Like, I'm not hearing anything that is saying that it is Russia. But if y'all want to do your thing, go ahead and do your thing. Like, I just saw it as just confidence, rather than her being cocky in a way or cartoonish, on just like, hey, I worked my ass off to get here, but I understand I can get more information if I'm a little flippant and a little, I mean, you know, it is what it is, kind of, than being like, this is what I need, and you better get this to me right now. Like, She knew when to play the game.
Okay, and like I said, it's not the way she did her job. It was none of that. It was just the way the character was played and came across. I have no problems with her doing her job, and she's damn good at her job. And it was just there are times that it came across as a little bit too much, I guess I could say that way. But yeah. So what else was I going to say? I I what was it? Oh, were you surprised about the big twist?
The what twist?
The big twist. Um,
About Throwbridge?
yeah,
Surprise isn't necessarily the right word. I thought it was a good twist.
me too.
I thought it was really, really good. And especially when you realize like why Dennison was just the foreign secretary rather than being the prime minister himself. And just they were just leading up to it. And it's so funny because the whole time I'm watching, I'm just like, that's Johnson. Like that's Boris. They're literally have a character who's acting like Boris. And so it was really interesting with Throwbridge being all, I need to be involved, I need to be involved, I need to be involved. And you had other people pulling your strings and directing you on what to do. And like I said, like I like the diplomacy of it all and the fact of that they included Brexit. They talked about Brexit. They talked about the relationship between the UK and the United States. There was a talk about the fact that Scotland has been fighting for years for their independence, and knowing that if Scotland gets their independence, then of course North Ireland is going to be next in line to get their independence. That's what I really, really loved. But at the end, finding out that it was actually the prime minister that put all of this in motion, I get why he did it though. I get why he did it. Not saying I agree with it, but you see the reasoning for why he did it. Once you go back and you start thinking about all the scenes and the words that he was saying in those scenes, like what he was saying in those scenes and how he was putting himself out there, I'm just like, I can see that. I can so see that. So I'm definitely interested to see in what happens next.
Yeah. I wasn't like you said, surprised that Throwbridge wasn't I wasn't surprised. Um, in the fact that it shocked me, like I didn't see it coming. I think I was pleasantly surprised that they actually went there. And, because normally it would be some ad hoc little country, um, and I'm glad that they didn't make it obvious because there are times when you start to suspect, especially when you find out that, they have their own version of a Leo Leonard or a Koch brother in that lady. They have their own a cabal of mad scientists, billionaires who want to control the world and everything that happens behind them, starting with the lady. Um, so I was like, okay. And so it's like, is he involved? Is he not involved? So I kept going back and forth with, okay, he's more involved in this than you think, especially with I can't remember her name, the shadow puller, whatever her name is.
Oh, Royland.
Yeah, excuse me, with her being involved and find out she's the one who's actually pulling his strings. And so I was like, okay, that makes sense. So when it went there with that review, I was like, they went there, and kudos to them for going there. And then my other question is, so does the Secretary of State know? Like, I mean, and I guess that's a question, like, because like you say, there's more to it than just Throwbridge being involved. Does the Secretary and that's what that was my thing, is does the Secretary of State know? Like, who else is involved? Is there someone from the United States that's involved in this? Like, and that's part of the intrigue that I can't wait to find out. Like, where does it go from here? And like, and I can't see wait to see the fallout from the finale because spoiler alert, it did get renewed for season 2, and so I guess that's why I was kind of um, Netflix can renew things quickly when they want to. But yes, it's already been renewed for season 2. So, and I guess that's why I was kind of putting off talking about what happens with Hal. Um, so like the fallout personally for her and professionally, because up until she got that phone call, you have the feeling that that was the moment where they were about to risk it all. When they were having that fight on the bridge, and it went from the personal to the professional. Then she found out about the phone and everything, and they put it together that it was Throwbridge. But then there was the bombing in London, of the informant who Hal was going to meet, who he shouldn't have been meeting. So it was like, wow. So going back to something you asked earlier, do you think Hal should die?
Yes.
Why?
I mean, because I want her to get away from him. Like, she's done. Like, he doesn't know how to be in the background. She's finally seen, like, he doesn't know how to be in the background. If he doesn't know how to be in the background, okay, then I'm okay with them coming back for the second season and finding out that he was in a hospital and he just passed away. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, how could they kill Hal? Like, what is she gonna do now? I'm okay with that, because then it also says if she wants to actually be vice president, she will never be able to divorce him. She'll never be able to get away from him. She'll have to stay with him for political reasons. But if he's gone, then she good. I'm a Kate fan. I'm on Kate's side. Whatever is beneficial to her.
Team Kate. I
Team
mean,
Kate.
yeah, I'm with you. Like, well, not, I don't know. I like Hal. I do. I think he's a great character, but I understand he is too much. And it's like, is that the only way? And I was reading a series, and uh, it's kind of like sometimes as writers or creators, you paint yourselves into these corners, not realizing how popular a character that, and not saying he's a throwaway character because you get it, but not realizing how popular a character is, or how an audience is going to take to a character. And in a world, and I don't, again, I can't pretend to know what their whatever their intentions were for Hal to begin with. But in a world, you could see, especially once you figured out that their marriage wasn't what it was on the surface, that they were trying to pull the plug. In a different world, you could probably see where they could get a divorce and still be able to move on and be okay. But with him, I'm with you. I think honestly, for her to get a clean start, that character would have to be killed off, because there's no way, if he survives and he becomes the hero of this thing, there's no way you can divorce the hero. You know, there's no way you can leave him while he's convalescing. Um, and it's just, oh, like, but do you do it the second season? Do you, I don't know, like, it's just, it's really interesting. But I think that would probably be the best way to give her the clean break that she needs, is probably, look at us, we're horrible people, we're plotting a man's
No, because
death.
I'm thinking of, does it mess up the story? Does it mess up the overall story
For
within the
him to die.
show if he is no longer there? Like, think about it. Think about
No,
how
it
this
doesn't.
season went.
It,
Is it gonna be missing something if Hal is not there? And I don't think so. I don't think necessarily, in the future, if Hal is not there, that the show is gonna be missing like it's going to be missing something, like we're going
no,
to
it doesn't.
see something really missing. So at the end of the day, I understand liking the character of Hal, not a fan of his, but I understand liking the character of Hal. But at the end of the day, if he was to die, it's not taking away anything from the show. It's going to
No,
add something, because then she has to go through mourning her husband, who she loved very, very much, and at the same time still being the ambassador to UK while still considering becoming the VP nominee.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like I said, it's a catch 22 from the standpoint of him being a great character. I could understand the need to the not the need, but the desire to want to keep him on and add and keep him there as more of a wrench to her plan, or as more of an angst or a drama mechanism. I get that. But I agree with you in the sense that in order for her to fully move on and step into her full self, the best way to do that is that she as a character would never have a clean break as long as he's alive.
Yep.
And that's just that. So I could see it going anyway. If they want to keep him along for angst purposes, not necessarily angst, but the drama that that character would create, um, some of it unnecessarily so, then yeah. But as far as would the show truly be missing something, would it be this great horrible loss where you feel like there's a hole that needs to be filled? No. It wouldn't. I just like the character and I like the actor, so I could see it going anyway, either way. In the next season, I think it would make her, if he were to die, I think it would make her the personal stakes in all of this so much more for her. It wouldn't be about doing a good job getting the vice presidency, which we don't even know that she really wants anyway. It's about getting to the bottom of this conspiracy, which seems it might have global implications, to see why her husband died. Because like we said, at the end of the day, regardless of where their marriage is, they still care very deeply for one another and they still love one another, um, a lot. So I think that would be really, really interesting, just to add that intrigue. Um, so before we get into more of what you want to see in season two, did you have a favorite episode or favorite scenes from season one?
Um, I guess one of my favorite scenes is when they were fighting in the forest.
And she was beating the shit out of him.
Yeah, it could be that scene. Um, Also when she showed up at the dinner in the red dress,
Oh yeah,
because it was a statement. So
yeah.
those would be my two favorite scenes.
Um, I loved, one of my favorite scenes was the sniff test when they just arrived and she found out she has to hit the ground running.
Hmm.
And I loved, the whole episode when the Iranian, look at me being morbid, when the Iranian ambassador dies in Denison's office. Like that episode was just pure gold. Like everything she had to do to get into the office, how she sneaks back in after the fact, trying to hide that she was there and she knew what happened. Like it, that was just a really well done episode. I loved it. I also loved the episode, where Hal gets kidnapped, and that was funny. And when he comes back, which leads to the fight, in the forest. Uh, Wait, was the fight in the forest before or after he got kidnapped?
To be honest, I don't remember.
But anyway, when he got kidnapped, that was just like, and he comes back and she knows what happens, and it just kind of just shows just how well they work together and how well they function together. And if he could just get out his own way and let her do what she needs to do, it was just like, but he can't, he's gonna have. Um, and then one of my favorite episodes was the retreat at Austin's country house, at Denison's country house. We talked about that. But I also loved, the breakfast scene where Hal and Stuart were talking, and Hal was just making this big plate of breakfast. And Stuart was like, "Well, why are you doing this?" And he goes, "Because it's not for me." And she just comes in and she just starts eating right away. So I thought that was also a testament to how well she and Hal knew each other. Okay, so what do you hope to see in season two besides Hal kicking the bucket?
Just more of great TV, I guess. Like, I'll be honest, I don't have the mindset to think what else can they do, but I just want to make sure they don't go into a second season slump and that the great TV just continues on the storylines that keep you interested from beginning to end.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking about that, and I always kind of have a list of things. One of the things I would want to see is for her and Stewart to kind of um for their trust circle, I guess, to be completed. I really think that she and Stewart, once they get past, the more they get to know each other, the more the better they work together, the better they see themselves suited for each other. And that was part of the thing, part of the reason why he and Eldra broke up. I believe because Idra, he was supposed to follow her to her next post, right? And then it comes down that Kate, they want to make Kate the vice president, and they want him to be her chief of staff. So that would kind of, but I want to see them kind of form that relationship where they really, really trust each other. I think that she and the actor also have great chemistry, and I think that they would make a formidable team once they really start to trust and rely on each other.
Oh
And
no, she turned down the job for him.
Wait, so she turned down the job to stay in London with him.
Yeah, she turned down
And then
Cairo to stay in, and then he decided that in 4 months he'll probably end up in DC. That's the reason why they broke up.
Yeah, I knew it had something to do with the posting, and I would be pissed too. Like, that's bullshit. Like, so and then it goes back again to what she said about sacrificing everything for you, and yeah, so I get that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Besides continued great TV, and to find out who to peel some more layers back on this conspiracy, because it goes deeper than just Throwbridge and who all's involved, and if anyone from the U.S. is involved, and so forth and so on. All right, so how would you rate? You got anything else before we rate this puppy?
No, let's rate it.
Okay, how are you rating the Diplomat?
I'm gonna rate the Diplomat 5 popcorns.
Oh,
It
wow.
kept me interested. There is not like I cannot think of a scene, or even like me not liking the Hal character. I understood his role within the show. So I very much enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the different storylines. I enjoyed the intrigue of it all. So 5 popcorns, definitely recommend everybody watch The Diplomat. What about you, Eddie?
Oh my goodness. First of all, I'm about to pull a Tammy. I recommended the Diplomat. And when I did, you were like, okay, whatever. So I'm glad that you liked it. I am going to give it 4.5 popcorns. I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. I have been recommending it to everyone. Have you watched The Diplomat yet? Have you watched The Diplomat yet? So that is one of my recommendations, and I'm glad that Netflix and all of their fuckery decided to renew it sooner rather than later for season 2. So just depends on when the writer's strike ends, and if the actors strike, when we will actually get the season 2. I think they've already started working on it a little bit over in the UK, so we will see. But yeah, I guess that does it for this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. Please be sure to listen, like, follow, and comment anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. You can also keep up to date on the latest entertainment, pop culture news, as well as other amazing kernels of pop culture goodness at the popcornwinddown.com. That's it. That's the plug. Pop. And thank you as always. And be sure to join us next week when we review season 2 of The Lincoln Lawyer. I'm excited about that.
Wait, what? No. It's Joyride.
Oh, my bad. I thought it was season 2 of The Lincoln Lawyer. Look at us.
Nah, that's in August. That's August, y'all. August is Lincoln Lawyer.
Okay. Well, when we review Joyride, I'm really excited about that. So stay tuned. Until next time, I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.
Peace.